You know what? In 10 years of doing YouTube, I never thought that I was ever going to do a video dedicated to guitar stands.
But I decided that today we're doing a friggin' video on guitar stands. God bless it.
Because guitar stands matter too.
You just play the damn thing.
So, there are all different types of guitar stands out there. As if you're a guitar player, I'm sure you're aware of this. But if you are new to guitar, these are one of the things that you probably don't think about very much when you're buying your first guitar. Or even if you've been playing maybe for a little while. Maybe there's some things in here, some styles that you're not familiar with that you never really thought much about. So hopefully there'll be a little bit of something in this video for everybody, because while guitar stands, they're not the sexiest thing in the world to buy. That's not necessarily the fun stuff. But they can still be kind of fun, and let's face it, they don't suck as bad as buying, having to spend money on like cables and strings and picks and shit like that everybody hates spending money on, but we got to, because we got to have that stuff. We got to have guitar stands too, but like I said, these are at least a little bit more fun than that stuff. So I'm going to go over all the different types of guitar stands I've used. I currently own and use several different styles for several different situations. Like I said, hopefully everybody out there will get something out of this video. By the way, this video is not sponsored by any particular companies. There are a lot of Hercules guitar stands because they happen to be my favorite company for guitar stands and microphone stands and a few other things. So I do own a lot of Hercules stands, but this is not a sponsored video. They're not any part of this. Nobody's paying me to do this. Nobody supplied any of the any of the stands that I'm going to feature in this video. I paid for all of them out of my own money. Totally unsponsored. So first up, this style of stand right here, again, this is a Hercules stand. This is what we call an A stand, or an A-frame stand. Sometimes you see it referred to as. Now, like this, it just looks like a folded up piece of plastic. But the reason why that I happen to like this particular style of stand, particularly for you. As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. These are handy particularly for travel situations. So you're going to band practice, you play at a gig, you need an extra stand or two on stage, that kind of thing. They get their name because when they're fully extended, obviously they're shaped kind of like an A, the letter A, which again is where they get their name. This particular model I like particularly because it gets the job done, and of course it folds up very, very compact. I can throw this thing in the front pocket of a gig bag if I need to. Maybe even inside of a coat pocket or something. If I'm really hurting for space. These are very, very handy, very easy to transport. There's going to be different variations on all of these designs today, but for the most part, this is a hard plastic model, hard plastic design. The rubber feet here will fold down to accommodate acoustic guitars, as opposed to just acoustic or electric. So the biggest feature of this, though, like I said, is compact ability and travel ability. And they also tend to keep a pretty low profile, discreet low profile when they're when they have a guitar in them. Next up is we have the typical guitar shop guitar stand. This is the most common stand, style of stand that you're probably going to see. Most everybody, when they buy a guitar stand, this is generally what they buy for a number of reasons. They're cheap. They get the job done. Relatively low profile. In my opinion, they're kind of hard to break down and put inside of a case or anything like that to take to a gig or a band practice or something like that. But for just keeping it in the corner someplace, if you're going to keep a guitar in a corner or next, just to have one next to your recording desk or something like that, they're good for that. And of course, once they have a guitar in them as well, they also kind of have a bit of a lower profile type of look to them, provided that you only need a few of them. If you need 20 of these things, throw that out the window. But if you need, if you just need one or two laying around in the studio or something, That's really what they're, in my opinion, what they're best used for. This particular guitar stand, my father-in-law bought for my wife many, many, many years ago, which is why it's old. This is an old on-stage model. I think they still make it, or I'm sure I know they still make a version of it. Actually, you know what is interesting? As I'm looking at this, the model on this thing says HT1010GC guitar stand. That means that this was a Guitar Center exclusive. So once upon a time, this used to be Guitar Center's Guitar Center exclusive guitar stand. That exact same model later morphed into the Pro Line version that we saw for years, called the Pro Line HT1010. I didn't know that those were made by Onstage. I guess I never really gave it much thought, but I guess now I do. Interesting. Next, we are getting into my favorite style. This is my favorite design of guitar stand. Again, this is a Hercules stand. I'll have links to all this stuff down in the description, like always. But this is the one that I primarily use the most. You know, again, here in the studio, you know, keeping one here next to my desk downstairs when I'm working on my real job. You know, keeping acoustic next to me just for when I feel like reaching over and grabbing a guitar and strumming for a few minutes. You know, that kind of thing. Great. I mean, these are pro level guitar stands. These, you know, the one reason why I like Hercules is because they're built extremely well. This particular one, you know, the thing that I like about it the most, a number of things I like about it, but one thing that I really like about it is the stability. This particular one has the ability to adjust the legs, and you can open them all the way up like this with that little thumb screw, provided it wants to cooperate. There we go. There we go. And, you know, folds down to at least a little bit more compact. This particular model has like the gooseneck look to it. You know, when you put a guitar in it, the weight of the guitar actually hangs. The little fingers come out in front and keep it from falling forward. You see that feature a lot on guitar wall hangers. Again, you know, a Hercules, you know, the Hercules hangers do that as well. Hercules are not the only game in town that makes that style stand. This is one from a brand called Ultimate Support, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with. Another great, another company that makes really, really good stands. And this one does fold up a little bit more compact. So this one here is designed, I think, is better for travel. This one I have used to take to gigs and practices and stuff like that. Hercules stand I don't do that with too very much. This one though, again, different, kind of a different version on the same design, but it opens up, as you can see, to accommodate pretty much any guitar. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I like this particular style of stand the best. You know, again, I like the stability of it. You know, it just seems to distribute the weight, you know, the best, and it's, you know, probably the hardest to knock over. Not impossible, but the most difficult. So don't be afraid to store your expensive guitars in it. You know, and if the cat goes running by it and bumps into it or something like that, it's probably going to stay put, as opposed to some of the other styles that I've shown you so far. But also, it's very, very accommodating. If you got a bunch of pointy shit like I do, Explorers, Flying V's, you know, I got a Razorback, I got the, you know, the Hammer Scarab that you guys have seen on, you know, on occasion. I've got the Ibanez Xiphos. You know, I'm a pointy guitar kind of guy. I love pointy guitars, and a lot of pointy guitars do not like to sit in regular sized guitar stands, particularly the two designs that I've shown you prior to this one. These are awesome for pointy guitars. If you're a pointy guitar person like I am, this is what you ought to be checking into. Especially if you travel with them, then you need this one. God, I bet I've had this thing for 15 years now. They still make this design, by the way. They haven't changed anything on it. Haven't changed a thing on this design. Still readily available. Next, we get into multi-guitar stands. This one probably looks similar to the last Hercules stand that I just showed you, and it is, except this particular one. This particular one will hold 3 guitars. Not only that, but it'll hold 3 pointy guitars should I need it to. This particular one it will anyway. Lots of different companies putting their own spin on this particular design. I happen to like the Hercules the best. Again, I like it the best for stability. Some of those other designs, you take a heavy guitar off of one side, the other, the other two like to tip over the other direction. This one doesn't do that. So again, added stability will accommodate pretty much any guitar. And as you saw at the very beginning, when I first grabbed it, this one, for being a triple guitar stand, will fold up relatively compactly. So again, a good studio stand if you got multiple guitars that you kind of want to keep out of the way, over in a corner someplace. Same kind of thing if you taking multiple guitars out to a gig with you, you need to keep them off to the side of the stage or something. Great choice for that. There is also a 6-guitar version of this, which is basically two of these stacked on top of each other, but all in the same stand. I do own one. I've got it buried in a hardware case in the closet. It was just way too much work to dig it out for this particular video. But that one there for a while, especially when I'm taking the pointy stuff, that one is my favorite guitar to take, or my favorite guitar stand to take to gigs with me. Particularly if I'm playing a gig where I need to have that many guitars. I played in a band once. I had to take at least 6 guitars with me to every gig we played. At least 6, because we played that many different tunings. Didn't even have room for a backup. And last but not least, we have the rack. Looks like a miniature guitar case, right? Because it's designed to look like a miniature guitar case. Believe it or not, this here guitar stand will hold 5 guitars. This one is made for gigging, folks. This is a brand called Rock Stand by Warwick. I don't even know if they're still making stands or not, but that's what the logo looks like. Logo doesn't matter. Like I said, again, multiple companies make a design of some kind, make a version of this particular design. It's also good for carrying random guitar straps and stuff too in a gig. One thing I've used it for, but getting those out of the way. This one, we can stand up. So when it's all said and done, and it's all set up, that's what she looks like. I've only got 3 guitars in there right now, just for the sake of example, but there is room for, you'll see there is 2 more slots in there. I could put 2 more if I needed to. Folds up, very compact. This, like I said, this one's designed for gigging. Lug this, you take this thing, fold it up, set it up, and there is your guitar stand for the night. Nice and out. We're keeping all your guitars out of the way, nice and stable. Probably going to be pretty tough to knock the whole thing over. Lots of velvet padding and stuff there on the inside as well to protect the finishes of all of your beautiful machines. Yeah, good stuff. So I happen to really like this design. This particular case, I bet you I've had this thing 20 years now. There's one little spot. There was a manufacturing flaw in this particular one. They didn't drill the hole in the right place, so I had to re-drill it, where the thing pops out and locks, so the top locks into place. So I had to re-drill that hole, and beyond that, that is the only thing that's ever been wrong with it. And once I fixed that on my own, like I said, I've gotten a lot of mileage out of this thing. I take this thing with me to just about every practice and gig that I play. It's just because it's the easiest one to work with. So it's the easiest one to work with. It's, small, keeps everything out of the way. And also, because it's about the width of a guitar case, I can take all of my guitar cases and stack them up on the side of the stage and then set this thing right on top of it, to where it's up higher, standing less of a chance of me knocking anything over. Plus all my guitar cases are stacked up and out of the way, and I don't need to, and serving a purpose while they're there. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do with them for the 4 hours while I'm playing a gig. I hate that problem. This particular stand solves a lot of those different solutions. So that's pretty much everything that you probably could have hoped to have learned about guitar stands in a video dedicated specifically to guitar stands. Why did I decide to do this video? Honestly, I have no idea. I looked over the corner, saw several different types of guitar stands, said, let's do a video on guitar stands. That's pretty much the inspiration for how this video came to be. What I do have to admit, though, is I actually had a lot more fun in shooting this video than I thought I was going to. So, hopefully you guys got something out of it. If not, I don't know, share it with somebody you think might get something out of it. If you don't want to do that, why are you here anyway? So comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if I left anything out. I don't think I did, but in the event that I'm wrong, I'm sure you guys will tell me. Adios.